Hello, everyone. Welcome to Ask the Nanny. Now, I have somebody special here with me today, and she really needs no introduction, but I'm going to let her introduce herself anyway. But I know a lot of us already know her. So, Miss Alene, would you tell us a little bit about yourself and one fun fact?
Well, thank you so much for having me on Ask the Nanny. I am really happy to be here. I'm happy to have great conversation with you. To those of you that are joining us, thank you so much for tuning in. We know that you have a lot of things that you can do, but you chose to be here, so thank you. For those of you that don't know me, I am Alene Mathurin, and I love to say, what's the fun fact about me? I actually do have a sense of humor. Angie, I actually love to laugh. I'm not always as serious as I appear to be. So that's the fun fact about me.
Great, great, great. Vashni says hello.
Hello, Vash. Hello, my nanny circle.
And Mitchie says hello.
My goodness. And hello to all nannies, wherever you are, the entire community. We know that it's such a very difficult time as we go through that pandemic. Life is so different, but hang in there. The season is going to change, like I sometimes say. So thank
Yes.
you for joining us.
Yes, thank you for joining us. And as Aileen said, it is a difficult time for all of us. But tonight is all about positivity and fun and girl talk. You know, how you just kind of sit by, on the phone all night. Girl, let me tell you about this. What happened here? That's what tonight is about.
What?
We are just going to have some plain, hold on, let me turn my volume up because I can't even hear myself. Okay, so it's going to be some plain old girl talk. We're going to leave the misery and everything else, all our troubles behind, and we're going to talk about some positive stuff, some things that we're working on, some things that we're doing, because, after this is over with, it's still going to be there. So you might as well laugh and have some fun while you can. So, woo, I think I turned it up too loud that time. That's blew me away.
Testing. Is that better?
Yes, no, that part. I turned the volume up because it was down low. I was doing some recording earlier and working on Ask the Nanny and changing things. And I know you all have seen some changes and seen some of my mistakes, my bloopers, the bleeps and blunders. And I'm like, oh, that doesn't look good. Take that down. So,
That's the idea, right, Angie? The fact that life itself is a journey, and
yes.
along the journey, it's a process of learning, no matter what we're doing. And in the end, we make blunders. My gosh, I have made. If we were talking about girls talk tonight, I've made some. I've messed up along the way.
Ooh, tell me.
Yeah.
Uh, I am learning from you. I was like, okay, so she's this far ahead of me. I was like, okay, I'm back over here. Let me see. Wait, don't go that way. She didn't go that way. Go back over here. Get back in line.
But here's the girls talk about this. You see, no matter where we are in that journey, it really doesn't matter about the placement. It matters about what you do along that journey, because the trajectory is so sometimes very different. And although they are journeys, the paths are so very different. So just have fun along your journey, and just give yourself that space. The mistake I made, I must tell you, if we again, based on girls talk, I did not give myself space, because sometimes, like, Angie, when we're on a journey and we're in the public's eye, it's very difficult to make some mistakes, because
Yes.
because that can come back and bite us in the tush.
Hello. How many times? I don't think I got any left back here. I got so many bites. I'm like, okay, can I heal? Give me some of that butt paste. Give me the same butt paste I use on the babies. I need some of that right now.
Absolutely. So just give yourself time. And you know what I do, Angie? I did not know in the past how to forgive myself. I did not know how to operate. Um, Let me just tell you, I was raised with an old school teacher, my aunt who raised me. My aunt, as beautiful as she is my rock, but my aunt was a perfectionist. So my aunt is not was my aunt is a multitasker. So my aunt would do everything. She had no patience for I cannot do it. So when I came to America, I came with this idea that I can do it. Auntie never gave us the opportunity to make a lot of mistakes, because as soon as you did in the Caribbean, it's like, huh.
Like that nun with that ruler.
I'm not advocating that. I'm only telling my
No,
story.
I understand. I got the same thing.
So I became very concerned about outcome, because the product, whatever I produced, I wanted my aunt to be very pleased with it, because she had taken me in, and I was grateful as a young child for that. So I learned to please her, Angie. And I developed
Mhm.
that very same attitude in everything that I did when I came to America. Even before that, I wanted to do it well. And so as I became older, and that kept come by, it comes by the way with age. I'm like, you know what, Lynn, you made that mistake. You are entitled to make that mistake. What the heck would would you do? Because some of us are just thrust into those positions, and nobody gives us a template as to what to do.
Yes. That's why, as a parent,
Uh,
I'm like, okay, so let me make sure that I'm doing this right because they're following behind me.
yeah.
So I'm like, okay, let me look at Alene and Sue and Laura and Tanya. I said, okay, what are they doing? Okay, what is this strategy? And I'm sitting here studying. I'm like, okay, all right, okay. No, that ain't gonna look right. No, that's not gonna be right. Okay, you can't put that out there. You can't say that. I'm like, okay, so what else? And then last night, I think Tanya had Alexandra on, and she was talking about some of the do's and don'ts for interviews and do's and don'ts for what you wear, what you say, and I was just like, uh-huh, been there. I've done that. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I did that. So yes, we have to. I try to watch those who are out ahead of me and see what they're doing and what they're. I said, okay, I can't do it on the big scale, but I can do it on this little bitty scale. I'm still over here. I'm working towards that, but I know that it takes time. Rome was not built in a day, and when I make mistakes, my husband who works from home. I've been home a lot. He works from home. He said, "You saying that awful lot today." I was like, "Cause I keep messing up." I was like, I keep messing up. I keep pushing the wrong button. I haven't gotten my nails done in a while, so my
Look at
fingertips.
mine. Look at mine.
It's like my fingertips. I got fat fingers, and I keep pushing the wrong button. I'm saying, why am I pushing the wrong button? Because guess what? You're used to having those nails done and click, 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 and now I don't have a click, 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 and my big fat fingers do it right.
Yeah.
And I'm getting frustrated over here because I can't do it right. So we all make mistakes, and as a person who looks up to you and a person who has been in business or myself for a while, I understand when things don't go the way they're supposed to go. I understand, but the regular, ordinary, I can't see that. And so they're like, I don't like, chill out, chill out. Everybody makes mistakes. Everybody grow, but it's hard to move and grow when you're in the public eyesight. So if you're gonna make a mistake, it's like, okay, I gotta go in my closet and close the door so nobody can see me. But yes, it's hard, but the results from when you get it right are so rewarding. They are
Yeah.
so rewarding. I love the things that you do because I'm like, I'm gonna be like her. I'm gonna make it one day. I'm gonna get there. Because
But
I aspire to do some of the things that you do, or should I say, I aspire to do them on the same level that you're doing them.
I think I have and we have people that are listening, and what I've learned is, and I wrote in my book, Nourishment for the Soul, the idea, when I think about life, I think about we were sent here and we were sent here for a purpose. And the purpose that we were given, I think, is so different and so very unique. And though I am so humbled that you would use me as an inspiration, what I say to my friends and sisters like you and, everybody that I meet, I say, own and get to know what you were sent to do here, because we can seek inspiration. There are so many people that I sit back and I'm like, wow, from a young girl, it was Oprah that says America is the best place to be a woman. And that's what caused me to leave my island home to be here in America, because I wanted to see the idea of what Oprah was saying, that's the best woman that could happen in America. So, but what I understood very early is that I asked myself, what is my purpose? Why was I sent here? What am I supposed to fulfill? And I had to, Angie, spend a lot of quiet time soul searching. And so I started reading the likes of Gary Sukov that speaks about, that we all, again, we have that Tao, we have that knowing, there's a higher self. And the higher self, the way we were created is that each and every one of us are given, because, for example, when you were sent, they said, Angie, there is something absolutely phenomenal to do. And it's XYZ. And they said, Alene, perhaps there's something that you have to do and it's YBR. And so it's very different. But like you said, we can seek inspiration, but always stay in that path. I think the times that it works out pretty well is when we have a knowing. Dr. Wayne Dyer says it's a knowing. It is like the mothership, the thing that says, come, Angie, come a little closer. You're almost there. Come to the women that are watching us, the men that are watching us. There is something that your soul knows. And when you get close to it, you begin to realize that you are in alignment to that which you were called to do. And that's when the magic happens. The magic, of course, with a lot of mistakes. That's when it truly happens.
Yes.
So, I had to learn that, because my magic, and Angie, for those of you that saying, who the heck is she? What is your story? I came here and I knew exactly what I was going to do, Angie. I didn't come here to become a nanny, Angie.
Well, I was supposed to be a teacher. I was supposed to be a teacher. I knew that early on, but then both my parents are teachers, and I saw their paychecks. I was like, ain't no way to work. I went and got an accounting degree because I'm seeing CPA. They make $60,000-$70,000 a year. Yes, okay. So you get this degree, and you go into this little cubicle, and you're making $25,000 a year. I'm like, I was supposed to be making. So 2 years. That was all it took. 2 years at being in this little cubicle. I was like, no, this is not me. Because I had a home daycare at my mom's house when I was going to school. I went to school at night and I had a home daycare during the day. Mm-hmm. So I'm with my ponytail, although you can't tell it now. I had my ponytail. I had my blue jeans on, my t-shirt on. Me and the kids, we going to the park. Me and the kids, we going grocery shopping. Me and the kids, we going everywhere, going to the museums, all this stuff. That was me. Mm-hmm. But I'm like, okay, this is just temporary. I'm gonna do my thing. I got out there and I did my thing. My mama, up until the time she dies, I want my money back. I said, for what? She said, you're not using that degree I paid for. You went to school and got a business, it was business management and accounting degree. You're not using it. I said, yes, I am, Mama. Yes, I am. see, I'm managing my own business. I got my own home daycare. I said, I'm using it. I said, that marketing class, I'm using it. So maybe that was why I needed those classes then, because I remember the marketing and the strategies that I learned years ago, and and now I am able to use it in advertising for my business. I'm able to use it in strategizing for and what's going to work, what's economically sound, what I can do, what I can't do, what I can afford, what I can't afford. Robbing Peter to pay Paul when Paul gonna get paid back. All of that, but it was the purpose. My mom and dad kept telling me, "You're gonna be a teacher. You're gonna be a teacher." I'm like, I know y'all salary. So I ended up with a home daycare, and then after my children, my youngest was fourth grade. Then I let go of the home daycare, and I moved into teaching preschool. I actually moved outside of my home to do work, but then I still came back to the one-on-one because the classroom was not fulfilling, and it was the one-on-one, the being with kids and being able to, not have the strict structured lesson plan that I had to present. And I couldn't do things with the kids because I was so busy writing, okay, anecdotal notes and lesson plans and notes to parents and this. And I was like, when am I gonna get time to spend with the kids? I'm just gonna be me.
Mm-hmm.
And I discovered being a nanny, I get to be me. I don't have to make no lesson plans. I can plan as I go along, as long as that child is safe, as long as that child is happy and the parents are happy and we are growing and all the developmental milestones are met. Guess what? This is my happy place.
Yeah.
So when I found Nanny almost 20 years ago, that was it.
Yeah. And, it is T.D. Jakes that says nothing is wasted. He said it is the one thing that you do that's going to lead to the thing that's going to lead to a thing, another thing, and perhaps lead to the thing. And we are constantly, as human beings, evolving. So it was your background in accounting, being a teacher, all of that you get to use in what you do now as a businesswoman, as a nanny, in all the things that you do. So it's never wasted if it is used and you recognize it, because nothing, he says, truly happens. I don't believe in accidents. I don't believe in luck and chance. I believe that you are strategically at a place in your life. That is, if you are led. So I believe that, as you know, I speak very openly about my faith, the fact that I have a Christ consciousness, that, it is
Yes,
something
ma'am.
I'm very proud about. And so because I think that I have a guiding light, I have a mothership that is guiding me, nothing for me is really accidental, because I am following a light that is a bigger light than me. And if I stay the course, if my intentions are true, then though, because we could be stubborn people, though we might decide that, hey, I'm stopping there to take a drink, eventually they say, that light says, come, keep on going. And this week, this happened to me. I was speaking with a friend very candidly about what is my trajectory? Where am I going? Where am I heading? And because, of course, we have so much time because of COVID, we have a lot of time to do that process of catharsis and introspection and begin to ask questions. And I was asking a lot of questions, and I thought to myself, hey, I am going to be going XYZ. And I was so happy, that I'm going XYZ. And immediately, it's in less than 5 minutes, somebody called. It was a nanny to remind me perhaps that I was exactly where I was supposed to be. And I looked up and I said, oh my goodness. And this lady was crying, and she says, you don't know me. I had been, it was an intimate conversation that I don't want to get to. But she was not, it wasn't an accidental call. It was not perchance. It was this woman confirming something that I needed to hear, because on my own, I had made certain decisions that even now, so I'm convinced about, but there were gentle reminders that, hey, you don't lead yourself.
That's right.
For those of you that are watching, you might ask, what is my purpose? And again, this is just simply, I mean, simple girls talk tonight. What led me from an island, and now I'm talking to you about nanny stuff. And even sometimes, Angie, I get very confused because I'm in a classroom filled with health professionals and doctors because I am on a different path. And then, I'm torn between these two worlds because immediately I have to go back into the community and I am the nanny. And then I have to go back into the classroom and I am talking about clinical drug development and finding, vaccines for COVID and stuff like that. So it is a constant juggle, but nothing is accidental because it is being a nanny and working with people and serving in the community that has given me a level of empathy that I can now take into clinical drug development to say, hey, I am going to lobby and fight on behalf of safe drugs, the development of safe drugs. It is being a nanny and seeing the passion of my peers and seeing the hard work of my peers that I can go back and I can have greater empathy to the people that will be that are research subjects, doing trials. So one thing leads to the other, and there is a balance in the universe. The balance is so beautiful if you're able to recognize it. And one of the things that I learned, sorry, it had to take me a lot of years, is that having a heart for people, a genuine heart for people, allows you also to find yourself. It's strange, but
It does.
it says, and COVID is teaching us that it is saying that I'm connected to you. I am part of you because we are all part and parcels of God. When I see you, I see me. And so because of that, I am mindful no matter what you look like, what's your skin color, what's your sexual orientation, I see a human being like myself. And because of that, no matter, even when we falter, we quickly go back to that place because we now are operating from a humanistic place where I'm connecting with you, not because you are my peer, not because we do similar stuff, but I'm connecting. The humanity in me sees your humanity, and that is a greater connection. And when you can connect that way, then you can truly serve. Does it come, Angie, with some high falls?
Who are you telling?
It comes with some uppercuts here. It comes with some jams here. But at the end, if what I'm learning is that every uppercut, every jam, everything that comes increases an extra layer. Because if you had met the Alene 9 years ago when I started this thing, 9.5 years ago, I would have been crying here. You ask, what the hell is she crying for? It was, I wrote in one of my books, I constantly asked God to stop me from crying because I cried a lot as a young child and I continued that thing. It was the way that I purged my spirit. It was the way that I just used it. It was that thing that I felt something and I cried. It was the way I expressed my emotions a lot. But now the Alene 9 years later, I look at myself and I said, you little terror. As it allows you serving and journeying and growing and making mistakes, which are all good things, allows you to be, a little tougher. It allows you to tolerate things you never thought you had the capacity to tolerate. So I often joke and say one of the things that I have developed is an adaptability quotient and the idea of respecting differences in opinion. I learned to separate that from all of that. And I think the way I was able to do that is having a healthy idea of who I am and what I'm doing. And as long as it was good with me morally, ethically, and most important, spiritually, I began to be okay with certain things because I know myself. And you say that you watch the things that I do. If I have not told you anything, remember this. You're going to need a keen understanding of who you are. There
Yes.
is this famous philosopher that says, Soren Kierkegaard, he says, once you label me, you have negated me. And that is very powerful. And sometimes we don't understand that. But no one can label you until you have labeled and owned that label that is affixed to you. And so sometimes in serving, we are so busy serving that we fail to understand the server. And so we are unfair to the person who's serving, which is us. And so I had to learn through a process of some very tough hardship. Who the heck are you? I had to ask myself those questions. I became whole with the knowledge of who I am. And so nothing that came externally really did not affect that much my internal ecosystem, because first of all, I had cleaned inside. I knew what was there. I knew my intentions. And nobody, Angie, can tell your story as well as Angie can tell her story. So that is my lesson to you. Have a keen awareness of who you are, because when you're behind that camera, somebody is going to get to know you, and it might be the day that you messed up. They're like, oh, that Angie. And sometimes as human beings,
Mm,
we are not very forgiving. So make sure you know who Angie is and own her.
yes. And that's what I was going to tell our watching audience. If you have a calling on your life, now is the time. Instead of dwelling on all the bad stuff, because I left a job in Dallas because I needed to be home with my husband. I live like a 3 hour car drive away from where I was working. I was staying with a friend, but I let her know. I said, let's talk about the city being shut down and everything. My husband is I almost said Atlanta. I'm not in Atlanta. I'm in Austin. I said, my husband is in Austin and I want to be home with him. If it's going to shut down and I'm not going to be able to go back and forth and do whatever, I can't take care of you and not take care of me, because he is a part of me. And by taking care of you instead of taking care of him makes me feel like I'm choosing between him and you,
Mhm.
which is true. But I also had to know that they're going to be okay, because I had two other young ladies that were working with them. And I said, look, these two ladies can work with you. You got an A+ team. I promise you. And they have been fine. And I was called, we paused the contract and I was supposed to go back. And she called me. She said, well, a week after you left, he started sleeping through the night. I
Mhm.
was like, really? She said, yeah, you got him there. Because when I left, he was sleeping like 7 hours. And now he's sleeping like 10 to 12 hours. So she said, well, I'm sorry, but, you know, and I understood. I won't be going back because I still had 5 more weeks. But that 5 weeks of being home, coming home and finding myself and rebranding, because like you, I don't hide my faith. As I am feeding this baby, it was a Wednesday night. It was like a week and a half before the city shut down. It was like literally a download from heaven came and hit my brain. It's time. And I'm like, say what? It's time. Get moving. You got to do this. It's time to get. And I'm like, what am I supposed to be doing? And then all of a sudden, everything just started tumbling and going. And if you all haven't noticed it, in a few weeks you will. Nanny has transformed. And I have seen things, I have done things behind the scenes, the retreats and all that stuff that was going on. They're still going to happen, but they will happen at a later time because of the economic status of everybody, including myself. But the thing about it is, I learned so much about myself. I learned from research. I'm not one to read directions. That is, I
Mm,
like to just go by the seat of my pants. Okay, let me look at the picture. Okay, that goes here. This goes there, and I will put it together.
mm,
And then when something starts not working, like, what's wrong? I know I put it together right. And then what was this little leftover piece? Well, that was the piece that should have been in there. This is not making it work right. And I have learned how to read directions now. So, which is important. But I'm thinking to myself, well, I got this. I got this. I can do this. Well, a lot of things I don't got this. And I had to learn that about myself, that you don't got everything. Some things you have to take the time, go through the process. And once you get through the process, read the directions over and over again to make sure you get it right. And sometimes, even when you read the directions, it still doesn't work right for you because it may be a defective part, whatever the case may be. You learn about yourself. I have learned so much about myself since I have been here and have had the time to slow down because I was working 6 days a week and then going home sleeping and then doing a lot of webinars. I know you all, somebody said, you're on the web a lot lately. I said, yeah, because I was doing this and that. And I was doing 3 or 4 different things for 3 or 4 different people. And it was overwhelming, but it was something that was necessary. It kept me, and it taught me about myself, what
mhm.
I could tolerate and what I couldn't tolerate. And I learned that self-care is important.
Yeah, it is. It is so correct. I share.
And when I
I think we had an interruption on the video. Can you
we're
hear me?
back,
Okay.
I can hear you.
Okay, awesome. I think that is a very important point, especially for the audience that's looking, the idea of self-care. And sometimes there is a confusion that if we're caring for self, we are selfish. There is a vast difference.
Mhm.
Selflessness is good. Self-care is just as good. And the parallel that I see is that in the beginning, when I started this work of serving others, I have an abundance of energy. So I get up early, and I do what I need to do. I'm a planner. I'm somebody that sees things way ahead of time, and so I begin to execute. What I was not doing at the time, Angie, is that I wasn't leaving a lot of breathing space for myself. I was a student, a mom. I was writing books. I was doing so much podcasting, working my nanny circle, just doing a lot. And I realized that I was most effective when I did things and I slowed down and I tried to hone in on this one thing or the two things that I was doing and did it with a level of effectiveness. And I often ask, what is the purpose of this? So nothing that I touch is accidental. I always ask, what is the purpose? Whose life is it going to touch? Is it going to have meaning? And is it congruent to the values of my soul? So there's some things that I don't touch in the sense that it goes against the construct of who I am. And so it is very important for those of you that are listening. Angie is saying in your quiet times, especially now, the blessing that I see in that storm or the light that I see in the storm is that we have enough time for us to begin to self-reflect. It was this week on my nanny circle that I posed the question, what are you going to do with that time? Is that quiet time a time that you're saying, hey, I'm stuck inside? But is that the time to journal? Is that the time to say, am I on the path that I really want to be? And I think a conversation that we don't normally have in the nanny community is the fact that not all of us that serve as nannies and are really darn good at it are actually meant to be nannies. And when I say that, there is a confusion about what does that mean? It does not mean that because you work as a nanny that there are not lots of other things that you can do. There are some of the most talented and gifted people that I've met, frankly, and not my peers that are scientists in school. They are actually nannies that have gone on and done incredible things that amaze me. But when the confusion that's out there is that if I decide to do something beyond nannying, then I'm disloyal to the community. And that is not
No,
true.
that's so not true.
I say to people, find the thing that you're supposed to do. And guess what? If we look at the Great Old Wise book, it gave us that story about the parables of the talent. There are some of us, there are many of us that were given a multiplicity of things to do. And so not everybody has the same capacity. And so do it. Go find it. Whether it's working as a nanny during the day or and starting this thriving business on a side on a weekend, whether it's thinking about something else to do. Frankly, I met a nanny and I said, girl, you should be somewhere in a church preaching, because she was like, I was on fire. It's like, tell me more, sister. So, we have to search our spirit, find out what are we supposed to do. Use that quiet time. In fact, instead of saying, you know what, my mind is going crazy with me, I feel bored, I feel like, it's just inundating. Yes, it is. Grab a pen. I always joke that I walk everywhere with pen and a journal. Grab it, write down what you need to do, and work at it. It's a process. It's going to start small. That's it. It's going to
Here it is. It sits right here beside me. Exactly. I don't want to miss a little nugget that I need. Oh, let me write that down. I don't ever want to miss a nugget.
Yeah, so write it down. There's a famous verse of scripture that says, write your vision on paper. I equate it to, once you have written it on paper, I equate it to giving birth. It's like giving life to something that you take it from inside, and right away it becomes something. It was something internal. Writing it makes it external. So you give life to it. You manifest it. It manifests itself in the universe, and voila, it's there. But some people will tell you, for years I have that in my, they say colloquially in my language, for years I have that on my mind, girl. For years I have that on my mind. So nannies, whoever that's watching, there may be something that you need to do. Take it out of the mind and begin to put it on paper. Give birth to it. Say, how am I going to chew at this thing? It is said the way that you eat up an elephant is biting it one piece at a time. The same is true with what you're supposed to do and what you were predestined to do. And if you believe, frankly, that, hey, Alene, COVID taught me, or yeah, it told me a lot of things.
Yeah, it did.
COVID is showing me the quietness that exists because of COVID is showing me that there are other things that I need to explore. My friend, no matter who you are, man, women, whoever you are, explore it, because in Power of Intention, Dr. Wayne Dyer's incredible book that has touched lives all over, he said the soul has a knowing. He said it is called, Lao Tzu calls it a Tao. There is a knowing. Christ consciousness call it a spirit. There is a knowing inside of you, and it knows where you're supposed to go, and it is in the quietness, in the stillness of time that you will begin to hear it. But if you're on the phone every day, my sister, and you're just going on and on and on, and if you don't give yourself enough time to listen to the inner voice inside of you that gently whispers, then you'll miss out some opportunities. So in this season, the girl talk that I'll have with you is that perhaps there's something that you need to hear. You know,
Right.
there's something that wakes you up. You know, we say that I have a burning desire. People say that it is my gut instinct. You know, I watch nannies that I have had that conversation with that are ready to graduate in college. And I'm like, oh my gosh, if somebody told my younger self this when I just arrived America, perhaps I would have done a lot more things. So whatever you need to do, get up and do it well, and have fun doing whatever you're supposed to do, because it's not supposed to be so daunting like I make it sometimes. Like Angie, that we
Well, let me reiterate this. When you write it down, you give birth to it. You don't just give birth to a baby and just leave it there to survive on its own. You
Mhm,
nurture it. You
mhm.
feed it. You speak to it and talk to it. And what I'm saying is write the vision, make it plain.
Yes.
And when you speak it out loud, don't just write it down and walk away from it. Read it out loud. Give life to it. Speak life into it every day. I have a vision board on my dresser in front of my mirror so that I don't see me. I see my vision board and I start reading my vision board every morning.
Mhm. Ye-
And it says, ask the nanny. This is going to be my main thing. This
Yes.
is going to be my main source of income because right now I am working 2 or 3 jobs to put back into Ask the Nanny because it is not inexpensive to do Ask the Nanny. It's not as easy as what you think it is. I have looked at that and I've said, okay, I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to do this. I have this vision. If you see me on Facebook lately, I've been cooking. I've been doing art projects. I've been talking. I've been doing Ask the Nanny. I'm one of those multi-talented people, and I'm tapping into everything because I believe that you should have more than one source of income. And if God gave you the talent to make more than just being a nanny, and I'm not making light of just being a nanny because being a nanny is an important thing. So don't get me wrong there.
Yeah.
But you are more than just a nanny. There are so many different things inside of you that you can bring out of you and have extra streams of income going. I just tapped into something, my creativity. My husband sent me this message. He said, I was like, what in the heck is this? Okay, so you got me. I bought it. All right. Now what am I gonna do with it? And when I started playing with that bad boy, and people start, I said, "Oh, I can do this for so and so," and I send it to them. "Oh, can you make me another one of those?" I sure can for $20.
Yes.
And hello, here comes another business because it's something that I love to do. I saw it, I thought of them. I'm like, this is perfect for them. Bing, and hello, give them a little bit, give them a sample, and they'll come back for more, especially if you do well.
Yes.
So, whatever you have inside of you, birth it, write it, speak life into it, nurture it, feed it. Come on, walk it along, watch it grow. You have to go through those developmental stages. Babies don't just, drink a bottle and all of a sudden they're grown. You're going to have hardships. You got to go through teething. You got to go through crawling. You got to struggle to roll over. You got to struggle to crawl. You got to struggle to pull up. Then you got to cruise around the table. You got a whole lot of things that you have to go through
Exactly.
to get to be grown. I'm not grown. I'm still crawling.
Yes. You know,
Alene told me, be careful and go slowly. Take your time. Do it right. Don't make the mistakes I did. I was like, okay, all right, I hear you. But when this download, sometimes when these downloads come, I'm thinking, you can't be talking to me. I'm
mhm.
not ready for that.
Yeah.
And but be obedient.
Yes.
Be obedient because God sees more in you than you see in yourself.
Yeah.
God knows what you are ready for.
Yeah. And saying this, I have to say a special welcome to my friends at my Nanny Circle. I'm sorry that I looked at my phone, Angie, a few minutes because I realized that we were not broadcasting in the My Nanny Circle group. So a special
Oh,
welcome to our friends at, my friends, your
thank
friends
you for reminding me because I just
at My Nanny Circle. I just had a message from a dear friend that says, "Are you guys on?" And so I think that we're there. So a special welcome to our friends over at My Nanny Circle. Are we in there also?
missed all of this.
Yes. I just
Okay. I just shared
you just shared it?
just what I no, I didn't share it. You just said that you did it in my nanny circle, so I didn't share it there. I shared it in a whole lot of other places though.
Okay, you can always, and by the way, it's okay to share your live, your weekly sessions at My Nanny Circle. Sometimes there is a confusion
Thank you.
I share or what can I not share in My Nanny Circle. The reality is, Angie, when I started this whole thing, it was not supposed to be social media. Obviously, we want to look at every aspect of how we can reach people. And so the My Nanny Circle Facebook group was born. I was very, very concerned about conversations that we had in the group, for example, because, like you said, beyond being a nanny, I am a writer for children's books. So I go into schools and I do, I read to kids and I work on in different capacity corporately. And so anything that I did or I do is attached to my name. So for years, I was the only admin in My Nanny Circle, authorizing things. And of course, you can do that when you are 1,000, 2,000. But Angie, as we grew, I realized that it was in order to operate optimally that I needed to bring admins on board. And people say, is it because you did not trust to bring people in? The reality is part of that has some truth in there. I love to own my truth. I wanted to make sure that the conversation, people got to know the type of things that I would normally engage in. I was very careful that if I wanted to be responsible with the group because people take things seriously, Angie. They listen to me and you every week, and people say, hey, this is what I'm going to do with my life. And so I wanted to be very responsible with my words because words have power. And so now we have, thankfully, six different moderators that help me. And because of that, there isn't a backlog. Because of that, your posts authorize faster. So it was never something that was intentional. It was me trying to be the student, me trying to be the admin for My Nanny Circle, me trying to quickly go somewhere else and on a weekend and do a job, and me trying to do this.
That's my life right now.
Yeah.
That's why I'm laughing.
So when you saw your post, for example, had delays, it's not because I intentionally tried to delay it. I messed up, like, hey, the sister couldn't keep up, and you say, hey, sister, I noticed that you were about to post that thing about your employer. Don't do it, sister. Don't do it. Don't do it. It's going to come back to bite you. Don't do it. And so you spend time saying, I know that you want to vent about it. Is it possible that I can talk about it in one of my live broadcasts in a way that is in a general format rather than you putting yourself out there? So now, I say to our viewers, we want to share things, and you're welcome to share in the group that I started, My Nanny Circle, along with all the 6,000 plus people that we have. It is our group, but we understand that right after the New York Times did that article, very objective article about the work that we did at My Nanny Circle, we had an influx of so many parents coming in and saying, hey, I want to have a great idea of what you guys do and what you stand for. And so we are very mindful about the conversation that's there. Of course, I'm not going to censor anybody, But sometimes some of our peers, some of us, including me, we need a gentle reminder that, hey, that just did not look good, sister. And I know it's freedom of speech, and I know that you can say whatever you want. But what I do know to be true, if I go out and I work with any corporate brand and I say, hey, I'm going to, if they say, come be our guest speaker at an event, they're going to do a social media audit on me, and so
Exactly.
and so I say to nannies, by the time they go in there and they start seeing, Alene is biting somebody's hair, Alene is scratching somebody's eyes over there, they say, hey, I'm not going to associate my brand with you. So,
Mhm.
and I tell nannies every single day, nannies, your name is your brand. And so be very mindful what you do with your brand. And I say often that I don't trust people that do not trust their, that do not have respect for their brand. Because if you're going to disrespect your brand, which is your name, who tells you that you're not going to do the same to me? And so I am mindful of the conversation. Yes, we appear to be, people say, are you a micromanager? No, I'm not. Frankly, I'm not. I'm just, I just don't want to, perception is reality. And I don't want to present a community to the world. And it is a community where people say, like, really? So I am mindful about that. And if I'm going to do it, I want to do it in a way that if I look back 2 years or 6 months down the line, Angie, I can sign off at my nanny circle. I can sign off from the nanny community. And I could say that I work with honesty and integrity and class and dignity. And that's what
Exactly.
I always, and I ask myself always, when my son looks at me, will my son be proud of who I am, not as a mother, but as a woman? So I'm going
Yes.
to conduct myself in a way that is dignified, in a way that honors my soul, and I'll make no apologies about it. And sometimes in the process of doing that, it may offend people, but I quickly say, oh, sister, I'm so sorry. But sometimes you have to offend in order for you to, and it's not conscious offending, it's not deliberate offending, but sometimes people will have to be offended by their, in their beliefs in order for you to say, this is what I stand for, and own what you stand for. Because I'm someone that's not easily influenced, because again, I stand on the idea that I know who I am and the boundaries that I'm creating. And I stand on the idea that as a community, nanny communities everywhere, generally, regardless of what group or affiliation you have to operate in the highest, truest ideals of who you are.
Mhm.
We are allo parents, we are co-parents, we are raising the next generation of people. And so we have to be mindful. And by the way, the idea that social media gives me a veil to be able to do as I please, it's a false construct that gets a lot of people in trouble. Let me give you an example. I've had situations where nannies, how do I say that to not give away certain things? A nanny is vetted to become a high profile nanny. What, that nanny is like absolutely incredible. Everybody, the family is ready to hire that nanny and all that good stuff. But then the thing on social media that you didn't have to post, all of a sudden they look like, oh, okay. So that's what I'm saying to nannies. Yes, you can do whatever you want to, but be mindful if you're going to continue in that path, that there are what you stand for and who you present the world to be, they will believe that. And people tell me sometimes, girl, this is really not me. I have a pseudo personality that I use on Facebook, but generally I am, me already. And I say always, whenever you present yourself to the world, present it to the world just as you are, because the world is going to make a judgment of what they see and not who you are maybe inside your home. Whatever you give them, that view you give them of you, that's the takeaway that they have. And words, of course, have power. So when the family goes back and they see you swearing at the last nanny family, they say, hey, is that the way you resolve conflicts? So be that's my humble, very humble opinion, because you never know, especially young nannies, you never know. 2 years down the line, 3 years down the line, you might be the pediatric nurse. You might be the one interviewing HR for, a position as a nurse. What are you selling? What are you saying to the world for what you do online? So I operate that way, Angie, and that's why sometimes people think that we censor stuff at My Nanny Circle. It's just like, hey, I'm presenting professionals to the world. I better be mindful how I present them. And do we mess up sometimes, Angie? There are times sometimes in the past, that is, I would go in the group and I'm like, oh my gosh, I have a dear friend who is, we always need that person that knocks us on the head. And she would knock
Right.
the head and she say, are you sleeping? Do you see what's happening in the group?
But you are so right, Alene. You are so right, because the last 3 families that have hired me have stalked me. And when I say stalk, I don't mean it's a bad thing, but they have looked at everything. They have written me messages, and they have watched Ask the Nanny. And I know that they watched it all the way through, because some of the messages they sent me, it wasn't at the beginning, it wasn't at the end. It was deep down, like 20, 30 minutes in, that I said that. I'm like, oh my gosh, you were really watching, weren't you?
Mm.
So it is, um, you have to be circumspect about what you put out there, your image that you put out there, what you do at home and closed doors, behind your closed doors with your family, your husband, your spouse, or whatever the case may be. That's you. But what your business, what you put out there for your business, what you put out there in the Facebook, and trust me, snapshot, screenshot. That's what I'm trying to say. Screenshots,
Mm-hmm.
they do exist.
Mm-hmm.
And parents know nannies, and nannies. I've known nannies who will go back and see something because they want that job. They'll see something on another nanny and send it to anonymously
And
to
that I
a
think,
parent, and it's catty. It's very catty, and I'm telling you all now that that is getting ready to happen, because the shortage of jobs, because of some parents that are not going back to work, some parents who have been, they're not going physically back into the building, and their children are at work, and they are at school, and they can get the work done. Now you may find a summer nanny position, but when school starts, it is going to be tough to get a decent job at a decent rate, because of what COVID has just done, and the realization that we can get a whole lot more done without you traveling into the office. We can do a whole lot more done virtually without you flying on the airplane. We can get a whole lot more done. So that family that was traveling all the time, and that extra money that you were making, may not be there when you get back.
and that is very, very important. On your point about if a nanny posts a grievance in a Facebook group, and somebody takes a snapshot and sends it out to the family, you ask yourself, what purpose is that? And
Mhm.
one of the things that I say over and over, if you're not going to add value to somebody's life, do not interfere with that life.
Yes.
If you are not going to elevate that person, perhaps you might be the person that, because I have done it in the past, and I know other nannies have done it, to say, you know what, if I were you, I would not do that. I would delete that comment. And so the idea of, it's like, got you, like, I'm going to tattle on you. This is high school behavior. And we are
Mhm.
supposed to be nurturers. We are supposed to be saying, especially for the most part, and I recognize my Manny friends, and those of you that serve as Mannies, I recognize you always, although I don't mention a lot. I'm guilty of that. But for the most part, so many of us are mothers, so many of us are sisters, and we have to develop the idea that we help see the best in people. And I will one day write a book, because the reason why we do not see the good there is in others is that we cannot see good if good does not exist in us, because the window to the soul is actually the eyes. gives the window into the soul. And like the great book says, out of the abundance of the heart, out of the heart, the mouth speaks. The heart begins to conceive things based on the construct of that heart. So if you are the nanny and you see a fellow nanny doing something, rather than tackling on this nanny, call her aside, fix her crown, like we would say, and say,
Yes.
it's not the right thing to do. That's beneath the construct of your soul. I know you to be better, perhaps, because we all have that cray-cray moment, if we are to be fair.
Yes.
Am I allowed to say that? Because we're having girls talk, and
Yes, ma'am, you are.
if I'm talking to my girlfriends, I'm like, okay, I just had a little cray-cray moment. So the nannies, will have that moment where they say, hey, I wrote something and I did not have to do that. And when I talk of cray-cray moment, I mean in post, so that there is no ambiguity in what I'm saying. I'm just saying you have that moment where you just want to vent. I think that's a better way of saying it, because yet somebody says, Alene says they'll have so there's sometimes you just want to vent and you write something and we're just typing and not thinking. And that's why I always say, if you are emotional about something, if you're angry about something, keep your mouth closed. Keep your mouth closed. You never know what's going to come out. So if somebody's doing that, to get to the point, think about it. You're going to take a snapshot. At the point where you take the snapshot, there's no judgment in you that says, oh, don't send it, Angie. Don't send it. Then you put it, it's on your phone. You craft a message to say, I saw your nanny posting this in this nanny group. And nothing stops you to say, don't send it. She might end up losing her job. If she loses her job, she may have children at home. If the children are not able to be fed because she now loses her job, she may have to depend maybe on a partner that's maybe not supportive, and she may have to do things that she never thought that she would have done just to care for her family. At no point in your thinking that says, don't do that because you are causing harm to somebody. So I always find it mind-boggling when we purposely set out to do harm to others, because it means that there isn't anything inside of us that wakes us up, the higher self, that says, Alene, don't do that. That's not, I know you're angry. I know you are disappointed that your friend wrote that, but putting it out there to her employer to cause her to lose her job, that's not good. The only time I will validate something like that, if of course children are in danger, that's a different topic.
Right.
But that's just to go after somebody's job, like, don't do that, my sisters. Don't do that, people. We're having girls talk. I believe in energy.
Reap what you sow.
When she loses her job and you say, yeah, my friend is going to get that job, or I'm going to get that job, know that it is a circle. And it's going to come back at that point. And that little demon they call karma, it's
woo, yes, Lord. Yes, Lord.
Like my charges would say, don't say the B word, Lean.
It's gonna come right back and bite you in the butt.
It will. So whatever you put out there, Solomon says, whatever a man sows, that's what he shall reap. Buddha talks about, it's coming back, karmic energy. It's coming back. If you look at the East and you look at what they think about in the idea of what Lao Tzu and those great, the Muktanandas, what they spoke about, these are gurus. They tell you it is a recycled energy. So that's why, Angie, the premise of how I operate is, hey, I don't want it coming back to me. And if it does not find me, it finds the next thing, which is my son. And so I'm so mindful about what am I recycling in my family, in my generation, in my lineage? What am I putting out there? And because of that, I am very, very careful. And these days, by the way, it comes back to bite you really, really fast. It does not wait for your great-grandchildren and your great-great.
No, it does not.
So be kind to. In a nutshell, what I'm trying to say to those of you that are watching is to perhaps COVID is teaching us to have a greater tolerance for things that we disagree with, for things that we will not do. Have a greater tolerance to that, and be mindful the traps that we set out for others. Be very, very mindful about it. It's not necessary.
That's right. Because the seeds that you plant, you know how some seeds, a little mustard seed can bring out a little bush, but you plant one apple seed, and you get a big tree full of apples. Now, imagine that little evil seed that you planted comes out to be this big apple tree. And sometimes, when apple trees first start harvesting, they don't give out a whole lot. But then you put a little fertilizer on it. Okay, so don't let somebody come along and fertilize your seed and you get back 100-fold plus what you put out there. Because the little evil seed that you planted, that you're trying to be slick, I'm just saying.
Uh,
I'm going to tell Alene, say it again for the people in the back, because it's going to come back and get you.
it's
That's why I am very, very conscious of what I do now and how I say things and what I do. And even if I am busy doing something and I snap at my husband, and later on I realize you snapped at him, you said something, I will go then and say, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to sound that way. I know I was busy, my brain was focused, and I was messing it up and I couldn't get it right and I was frustrated. I'm sorry that I took that out on you. Now, that was it took a while for it to kick in, and it may take a while for whatever you're doing to kick in, but don't be afraid to apologize if you have offended someone. Don't be afraid to break that cycle so it won't whip around. You know how a whip, you drive back and and it comes across, and some whips it'll whack you twice. You don't want to get hit twice. Just, have the conscious mind to say, I'm sorry. Be willing to treat people the way that you want to be treated, with fairness and with kindness. It costs you nothing to be kind.
yeah, and
It costs you nothing to scroll on by, swipe left, right, whatever what is it? Swipe right, swipe left. I don't know. Just scroll on.
yeah,
If you see something and you just want to jump all over it, just scroll on. If you need to write it out, just write it out in your notes. Don't put it in a messenger. Don't put it in somebody's message. I'm just gonna type it out and then I won't send it. Put it in your notes, and you just have to type it out and then you read over it and see and think about in your mind, what exactly is your motive for writing this? What exactly is your motive for wanting to send this? And when you think about it and you read that back and see how it sounds to yourself, you'll delete the whole thing.
yeah. Once you cool off, you realize, hey, that's not necessary, and that's why I developed this thing where I sleep on stuff. So if I'm offended, and something offending you is a natural thing. If I'm offended and I am like, okay, I'm going to fire back, and I know, there is the other side of me that is the girl that is the island girl. I was raised, on an island, and on a Creole island, and I have that girl inside of me, and oftentimes I have to say, go to sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep. You're coming out. You are terrible. You are not supposed to be. My sister just reminded me. She said, from the time you're little, and I know that girl. That I know her. Like, let her lie down. Don't bother her. I know what my weakness is. And so when I get fired up, I know right away the rational Alene, that's the mom, the everything, I could put her aside and I become this girl. And so oftentimes I say, Alene, breathe in. I spend quiet time. The way I handle it is that I immediately go into prayer. If I can't do it, then I call a friend and I say, would you pray for me? I'm going through XYZ. And then I would just lie down maybe, just lay down, just listening to my spirit. And then afterwards, I'm like, if I had only acted out on how I felt, I would have just made a fool out of myself. But now I can have a conversation and we can look for resolution and we can keep it moving. It's not so difficult. Next week, I am embarking on this thing in the My Nanny Circle group. And really what it is to say that if I have offended you, I'm sorry. I think COVID is teaching me, hey, the sheer fragility of life. When you begin to see the pictures of nannies that have passed, sadly, and I know we said that we're not going to talk tonight about sad things, but the reality is, it's teaching us, my gosh, yesterday you were there, today you're gone. How is that possible? And so for next week, we are saying, if you had issues with a nanny, the one in the playroom that looked at you and really didn't like you and she didn't know your name, and you turned around and you gave her back that same energy so you guys could not stand each other, send her a message and ask her how you're doing if you have a contact. You'd be surprised. They're like, really? If I did something to you, and I say that, if I've offended you, whoever it is, I'm so very sorry. That was the side of me, perhaps, that did not think that you were my equal, that didn't realize that me, you, all of us apostles, bits and pieces of God, I am sorry. And so I think it is a wake-up time for us when we realize global markets are shut down, economies are nothing is happening. Everything is at a standstill. What do we have? What do we have in the nanny community? We have each other. And most times the reason why we are at conflict with each other is because we fail to realize that there is a space for each and every one of us. And so we at conflict. So that's the lessons that I'm learning. If I'm having just a simple goal talk with you today, it's really to rise above, the pettiness and the bickering.
Yes.
Let's do better. Let's connect. There isn't a me without you. There isn't a you without me. Communities all over, blacks, whites, Latinas, Filipinos, Asians, whoever you are, yet I forget anybody, white, black, purple, green, whatever you think you are. We are one people. We are all parcels, beautiful pieces of God. And let's work together. Let this thing teach us the value of humanity. COVID is not discriminating. COVID is doing some bad things to all different people.
Yes, the good, the bad, the ugly, everybody. It doesn't care.
Yes. Let's have a better nanny community after that. When I say community, I'm talking all people.
That's
Get to know
right.
me. Say, where the heck are you coming from? Who are you? And I'll say, well, who the heck are you? And perhaps he'll walk away and we say, hey, we're so different, but there's a space for me and you and all of us. I think that is what I'm learning in this quiet season. And I said to my family, Angie, I will never deviate from that feeling that I have now, that feeling of forgiveness, that feeling of, hey, I realize my own nothingness in the grand scheme of stuff. And if it means that I have to remain in the nanny community, forgetting that, I rather walk away completely dignified in an honorable way. But I'm not going to disrespect my soul. And I'm going to serve all people with honor, with dignity that they deserve. And if I cannot do that, then I keep it moving. Let somebody else, let a few more people do it. That's what COVID is teaching me, the reality of how much we need each other.
Yes, so much. I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, if it wasn't for Amazon, and I know the people at Amazon, they are delivering to, homes that need it. And I feel sorry because, they are putting themselves out there on the front line. To me, they're a first responder too, because I can't tell you how much stuff I have ordered on Amazon just to not go out of the house. And I'm thinking to myself, I need to send Amazon a gift card because y'all have helped
Don't do that,
me.
Mister.
It had dash.
Yeah, I hear you, and it's just that you have so much.
DoorDash, all these people who have put their lives on the line just to keep America moving. That does not, that does not negate the doctors and the first responders, all those who are
Nanny.
helping to find a cure. It does not negate the. I'm just talking about. I know there's a lot of focus on doctors and nurses but the people behind the scenes, the DoorDash man, the pizza delivery man, the Amazon delivery man, the people who are still going to clean houses, even though it could, be detrimental to their health. Those are the people that I want to thank too. In addition to the doctors and the first responders and the ambulance people, all those, they are on the front line too, because if it had not been for the mailman and, packages, we can't, grandma sent you this and somebody sent you that and this is happening here and that's happening. It wouldn't happen for those people that are actually on the front line too, because just like that when anthrax came out and it was killing the postal workers. Well, guess what? COVID is on sticks to paper and clothes and everything else.
Hmm. Hmm.
I can't tell you how much bleach I have gone through just washing stuff coming through the house.
I can write a manual about that.
Okay.
But while you're thanking, we must continue to remember there's so many nannies all over the world
Yes.
that are still working. We must remember the nannies that's holding down the fort. The while the doctors and the nurses are out there working, we must never
Right.
forget the nannies that's walking. The stories that I hear, they're walking across the Brooklyn Bridge just to get to work, the incredible sacrifices that they have to make. We must never forget the
Ever.
sacrifices of the nannies that have died and have passed on their legacy. And how do we honor those lives? And part of the way of honoring the lives is becoming a better version of who we are and who we are created to be. We will never
Exactly.
forget that as a community. There's so many people that are giving. Angie, this morning, there was a call in the My Nanny Circle community that we know that, for example, the likes of the NDWA, the likes of the Nanny Fund that was just set up, that's going to go out there and help nannies on a big scale. But this morning we were talking and somebody said, we were hearing from nannies that said, I need food. I got laid off 5 weeks ago and I don't have a paycheck and I had no savings. And all I'm asking is, can you help us with food? And I cannot tell you what happened today, Angie. How you begin to see on a grassroots level, you begin to see things happen. And I often joke and say it reminded me of what used to happen on the island where I was raised, that we were out of sugar and my grandma would say, go ask the neighbor for some sugar. Tell her next week when I get paid, I'll send the sugar back. So that was what was happening in the nanny community, in the community this morning, that nannies were saying, I'm going to go to the supermarket and I'm going to fill up whatever the list is. So the nannies would provide a shopping list and I'm going to drop it off. And this other nanny was saying that, you know what, tell her to come to the door. I have this packed and ready to go. This one says there's money somewhere, XYZ, go get it. And when I saw that, it reminded me so much about the beauty that exists in humanity when one person dares themselves to say, you know what, I'm going to help. And this was not started by me. This was a woman who says, find me somebody that I need to give her food now because I know the need is now. It is in that immediate need. I need to, I need to take care of it. And so I say, for those of you that did this incredible thing and that will continue to do it this week, thank you so much because you provided food. I mean, we cannot come out there to protect the dignity, the beauty of these individuals. We're not going to use them as a poster child. But these are the happenings that nannies can account, can
Yeah.
validate that's happening when one man decides, hey, Alene, I'm doing this. And so, nannies, I applaud you for doing this. And this is not just in the community. This is throughout
Yeah.
other communities. I see it throughout other groups. I see it throughout, manifested in other places all over. And it is all of us together. And it just goes to show how dynamic we are as professionals, how unique we are, how powerful we are when we put aside pettiness and we say we're going to work for a common good. And so I salute you for having the heart that you do. It is in times like this we begin to see the best that there is in humanity.
Yes. And that's why I am so proud to be a part of this village, because it takes a village. And when the village takes care of each other, we all survive.
Yes.
That's why I love, I don't live um, in a city like New York where all of these things, well, I can't say it's not going on here, but it's more known to you than it is to me what's going on in the community. But I thank you all the nannies that are still working, all the nannies who have had to move in with um, with mom and dad, with the families that are staying there, that are homeschooling, because I know homeschooling was probably not on your list of things to do. It was not on your job description, and all of a sudden it became your job description, and all of a sudden you have 3 or 4 more kids at the house instead of just the one throughout the day. I applaud all of you and the things that you do, the innovative ways that you come up with helping one another. I
I'm
love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it.
Yes, and it's just a remarkable thing, Angie, to watch. It's just a remarkable thing to watch, and I don't know, Angie. I am lost sometimes for words, but we thank these incredible workers. We absolutely thank them. And Angie, this morning we posted in the in the My Nanny Circle group. We started talking about, we again, because I believe in that whole thing about balance. We started talking about the good that I've heard nannies call me to say, Lean, you will never believe what my nanny employer did, how much they helped, and how much they did XYZ. I mean, this morning I heard a story. I said, really, they did that? Talking about buying shares, they're so grateful. I mean, I hear the stories. As sad as it is that you hear stories that nannies that have been with employers and all of a sudden 15 years or 15 years, 10 years, and they leave without a paycheck. You hear those sad stories, and we highlight those sad stories. But we want to say thank you to the nanny, the ride and die employers that's simply there with their nannies, and they say, you know what, together we'll ride that storm, together we're going to get through it, together we will think about what normalcy looks like. But I have, you're there with me, and we have this. I want to say, we have to say thank you. We have to tell their stories in a way that is objective, to highlight that there is so much bad that we see, and it's heart-wrenching, but there is, on the other hand, so much good that we see,
There is so much good.
and we say thank you.
And I'm a witness to that, because the job that I came home for, that I still had 5 weeks, she gave me a deposit for all of the weeks. Technically, I was supposed to get that money back. And when I left, it was a Tuesday. And she said, can we pay you for the rest of the week? And I'm like, I owe you money. What do you mean? So, yes, there are employees out there who love their nannies, who appreciate their nannies, who will do anything to keep them happy, to keep the because we take care of their most precious assets. I don't care how many shares of stocks or whatever, your most precious assets are your children. and we take care of those children. And for employers uh, to us, it seems like, are you serious? Are you for real? Is this what you're doing? Oh my God. To them, it's like, I'm just showing my appreciation for what you have done for my family. I'm showing my appreciation for what you have done for my children. And I applaud that. I totally agree with you. There are good stories. And I love the fact that, like I said, you hear more about these things. And I get the questions, but and I know that that's your calling and this is my calling, and we're both here serving the nanny community, but just in different capacities. And that's why I love talking to you, because I find out so much stuff when I
Yeah,
talk to you. I'm like, and then when you go on, I'm like, okay, wait a minute, I gotta let me mark that, because bookmark that, because I gotta go back and listen to that, because she just said something that I needed to hear.
and sometimes you might ask, where the heck are you, Alene, that when I come live that you're not? And sometimes, unless we tell our reality, our own reality, perception begins to allow people to draw a conclusion. So for the most part, when you're alive, I am in a classroom. So
I know this.
no, but sometimes if somebody else does not know, they'll say, oh, she's never there.
Ah,
How come she's not supportive? And so I am sometimes in the classroom, I'm sometimes multitasking, trying to, understand things that I have no idea what, the professor just said. So that's the reason why you don't see me on your live feeds. As you can tell, when I go into my nanny circle, I am really not I try to do less social media, because I rather protect my my psyche. Yeah, but I wanted to say something, Angie, about when we spoke about the fact that we hear so bad and we hear good. There are so many nannies that are asking, how do I resolve in my head the employer that let me go after I served her for 7 years? And I did absolutely everything that I could do and loved and served with dignity. I was at home and she called and said, we don't need you because of COVID, we have to go. And there are employees that are asking, nannies that are asking, how do I resolve the fact that I was let go without without the nanny employer even giving me a week's pay to say, hold on to that. I know that it is sudden. And it's very hard for these nannies to say, what went wrong? How do I resolve that? I have no answers for you, nannies. If I told you that there was a right and wrong way of handling it in my own truths, it would, I have no answers. What I can tell you is forgive that person that you felt treated you in a way that was not right. Forgive immediately, purge that person, take that person away from your heart. They're not deserving of that place. There's no need to be angry. Instead, use that was done to you and use it to catapult you into greener pastures, into somewhere better. Say, you know what, I'm going to look for another job, and perhaps in my new contract, I'm going to put something about, situations like this, because COVID is going to redefine the way we do contracts, by the way.
yes, it is.
So, don't dwell on it. That energy that you take and you tell everybody, imagine having to call 5 people, 10 people a day just to repeat that story. As much as it hurts, use that energy into developing, something else. Start sending your resume out, look out for jobs. Do not stay in that thing where you're just angry. It serves no purpose. It robs you of your peace. And forgive that person. And for the nanny employer that actually let the nanny go after 15 years, after 30 years, after 2 years, and simply let them go, I forgive you. Perhaps I don't know your situation financially, so I'm going to leave some space for that. Perhaps you may be the person who could have said, I will extend 2 weeks' pay because we don't know how that nanny is going to survive for the next 2 weeks. And though I understand that is not your responsibility, I truly believe that the good that we do to others always find us, and how we treat others, life itself is a circle. Again, I don't know your situation. I don't know what you were capable or not capable of doing, but it is in the hardest of times that we begin to see the people that are there for us, and the people who simply said, hey, this was just service based. And again, there's truth to this. But I think COVID is telling us, reconsider for some of you that let your nannies go. And I know even in our group, Angie, there's so many employers there. Reconsider it. Think about it. Think about the sacrifices. Ask how are they surviving. And I think sometimes when we step outside ourselves and we look towards others, that's some of the greatest blessings that we can find.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And on that note, it's 8:30.
It's 8:30.
It's we get to talking and it just keeps going and going and going.
Yeah, I was looking.
I can sit and talk to you all day.
I was looking at the time and I was thinking to myself, all of a sudden, Angie, it looks like in the night I want to eat something. In the night I want to munch.
I do too.
I'm drinking tea and coffee like crazy. But I want to thank you on a serious note for simply having girls talk with me. I thank you for tolerating me as much as you do.
Oh no, I look up to you. I'm learning to get a backbone from you.
I'll teach you
Seriously.
that. I'll teach you that in a minute. I learned that the hard way, But if I have offended you, and that's what I've been saying to my friends and colleagues, if I have offended you because the Creole mouth sometimes it can help itself, I'm sorry. I start at a blank slate. And my intentions, because I don't know what I'm going to do. We didn't talk about that. I don't know where life is going to take me. Perhaps life might take me on a different path. But I want to make sure that if no matter what it is, that I am kind to the people that I have met and the people that I see every single day. So nannies, I love you. Thank you for listening. If you are not a member of our My Nanny Circle Facebook group, Angie, I hope that's okay that I plug it in.
Join yes, go right ahead.
That family. It is a diverse family. If you heard that perhaps it's for Caribbean people, that's a lie. That's a lie. That was a label that was affixed to me, does not belong to me. I'm a woman that sees in all colors. I love all people. I have friends in all backgrounds. And I invite you, no matter who you are, to join us at My Nanny Circle, and let's have decent and honest and professional conversation.
Yes. Thank you, Anthony. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having Girl Talk with me. It's good to just go off script and just let her do as my old pastor say, get the letter method and just let her rip. And so it's good to do that sometimes and just have girl talk. Now, as you have seen, scrolling across the bottom of your screen, Ask the Nanny will be broadcasting from the Ask the Nanny Facebook page, not from my personal page next week. Now, we have 2 shows next week. Next week is National Teacher Recognition Week. Mm-hmm. So we are going to have a Monday night show. Our Monday night show is about attention-seeking behavior. Now, my guest is going to be Robin Williams. She owns Simplified Behavior, and she's going to be talking to us about attention-seeking behaviors, because I know a lot of it's going on with mom and dad being at home and you being there with them, and they all of a sudden start screaming and mom and dad come running because mom and dad are home now. So we're going to talk about attention-seeking behaviors. So maybe something to help you get past that point. Also, next week, I'm doing something totally different, and I'm dedicating this to my parents because they're teachers, especially my dad, because he was the one who just kept telling me, "You're gonna be super nanny. You're gonna be super nanny. You are super nanny. Use your Ask the Nanny platform to do uh, good things for the nanny community, for your village. Use that platform. Be the super nanny." And I mean, constantly he's telling me, I told you you're gonna be super nanny. I told you. I said, "Daddy, I'm not super nanny. I'm just me." Yes, you are. So this is dedicated to my daddy, who's a teacher. He taught third and fourth grade um, as a teacher. Now, I am doing a show about men in education. I have about 12 men of all ages, from preschool all the way up to graduate school, that are going to be with me live on Thursday night, May the 7th. And we're going to talk about men in education. And we're going to talk about their education. We're going to talk about their struggles as men, because men teachers are totally different. You may not think so, but it is. Living with a male teacher in my house, I know. So join me next week on Monday and on Thursday for Ask the Nanny. And I will also be on the U.S. Nanny Association page on Tuesday night with Carrie Bland, and we're going to be talking about water safety, because pretty soon the pools are going to open up, and you need to know about water safety with your kids. So watch me Tuesday night on the U.S. Nanny Association page, Monday and Thursday night on the Ask the Nanny Facebook page. Okay?
You're going to be busy, my girl.
I'm going to be busy. But this is what I asked for. And last note, if you ask for it, be willing to work for it.
I love that last note. I hope you picked up this thing. Like when I said you're going to be busy, my girl, this was a Caribbean thing. Shout out to my Caribbean sisters.
All right. We will see you all next week. Bye-bye.
Speaking with you, Angie.
Good speaking with you too.
Okay, bye-bye.